can't lie. It has been a long time since I've sat down and watched an episode of Impact Wrestling, but I thought, you know what, I'm hearing a lot of noise from a lot of people telling me go watch Impact Wrestling. It's one of the best shows on at the moment. The stuff they are doing at the moment is top notch. They are absolutely killing it. And a brief overview of this show after watching it, I got to admit, people are right. Very, very good. Very enjoyable. I would definitely recommend, if you haven't gone and watched any Impact Wrestling in a while, sit down, watch an episode. Trust me. Very, very good from start to finish. Very enjoyable indeed. Let's talk about one thing about like TNA, Impact Wrestling, whatever you want to call it. That they've always done well. One of the things that draw a lot of fans in many years ago, like people will tell you, especially people from the WWE stands will tell you that it was them that started this whole women's revolution, taking women's wrestling seriously. But us real wrestling fans, we know the truth that many, many years ago in a galaxy far, far away from the WWE universe, whilst they were playing around with having their women do bra and panties matches and lingerie matches and Playboy bunny matches and evening gown matches, there was TNA, Impact Wrestling, whatever you want to call it, and their Knockouts division, the standard bearer, the measuring stick of women's wrestling, pioneering women, taking women's wrestling and making it serious, making us stand up and take notice. And still to this day, they are the measuring stick. They are the standard bearers. Quite possibly is that there's definitely still an argument to say that they have the best women's division in all of professional wrestling at the moment. A very strong division of theirs. I think it can stand the test with any other wrestling companies at the moment. Undoubtedly, when you got Mia Yim and a young lady like Savannah Evans going one-on-one in your first match and absolutely killing it. Later on in the show, you see other women featured quite heavily, quite extensively, which is really good. They're taken seriously. It's not a complete joke. They've actually got storylines. They've actually got something to do, rather than just be thrown together and say, here's your main event, ladies and gentlemen. Here's your title match. Just pick them out of a hat and there you go. They're actually taken seriously, and it's really refreshing to see. Good match here from Mia Yim, who was absolutely underutilized in the last company she was with. And it's nice to see that she's been taken seriously here. Good win over a very impressive Savannah Evans, who's got a bright future, no doubt. And then we go to Rosemary, Madison Rain, Tenille Dashwood in the back, building up them. Stories there for the tag team titles, definitely. And I'm liking that. Give these women something to do and they can shine. Give them storylines, give them something to do, and they can knock it out of the park. They're proving it. Proving that they can do it, and that's the problem maybe. Maybe it's the creative problem in other companies where the women aren't allowed to shine and prove what they can do. But for me, Impact Wrestling are doing that for their women. So good, that's a big positive. Give them their flowers for that. The creative department of Impact Wrestling. I've got to say, I'm enjoying this faction they've created. One company that definitely benefited from the fall of ROH before it was been taken over and bought by Tony Khan was definitely Impact Wrestling. They brought a lot of guys, a very talented group of guys in from Ring of Honor, created this faction, Honor No More. I can't see a fault in it. Very strong faction, some good characters, some good wrestlers in this faction, and I'm very excited to see more from them. Got to see Kenny King going up against Blake Christian. And this was a decent match. Kenny King, always a big admirer of his, always thought he had a bright future when he was younger. Hasn't really hit the heights I'd expected of him, but you never know. There's still more to come from Kenny King. Good match. Blake Christian, I've seen him a couple of times, got to admit, very impressive. Rich Swan's still kicking around in Impact Wrestling. He's still going strong. And he's going up against Matthew Rehwoldt, formerly known as Aiden English. Supposedly he's the commentator of Impact Wrestling, along with Todd Grisham, I thought he was, or whatever his name is, Tom Phillips, former WWE guy as well. Nice to see he's got another job, I suppose. Well done, lad. This was an okay match, I suppose. Did enjoy the Good Brothers on the show. Not the biggest fan of theirs, but I suppose Impact Wrestling is a good place for them to apply their trade. And I'm excited to see them against the Briscoes, the best team in the world, or one of, next to FTR, most definitely. And I'm happy to see the Briscoes have got themselves a home in Impact Wrestling, and they're the tag team champions. And there's so much that they can do with the Briscoes. When you've got the Briscoes in your tag team division, you know you've got one of the strongest tag team divisions already. When you've got the Good Brothers there, Motor City Machine Guns. So I mean, my goodness, what a tag division. Another thing I've always said about Impact Wrestling TNA, they've always had a strong, very strong tag team division. Back in the days of LAX, Team 3D, Motor City Machine Guns again. Them days there were some strong faction, there were some strong tag teams. Being Money, America's Most Wanted. Some very good teams. And it's nice to see that they're keeping that standard up as well in their tag team division. Because then we had Mike Bennett and Matt Taven. What a tag team they have been over the years in ROH and now in Impact Wrestling. Going up against Heath and Rhino. Remember those days? That was something entertaining when they did their segments in the WWE. I did enjoy that stuff with Heath and Rhino, and it's nice to see they're still a team. But Matt Taven and Mike Bennett, very, very talented, very underutilized, I believe Mike Bennett was when he moved over. But now he's back in Impact Wrestling, and he looks a complete different character. And I'm liking this so much more than what he was. He was a cuckold in WWE, and all that stuff with his wife was absolutely ridiculous. I'm glad they're doing this with him and Taven now. Honor No More attack after the match. And I'm liking this. I'm liking what I'm seeing from this Ring of Honor offshoot group. Very, very entertaining. But we're going to see the Motor City Machine Guns, Kazarian, going up against Honor No More at Slammiversary. But we're going to have to throw more Impact Wrestling guys. They were told that they need 2 more guys by Scott D'Amore. Probably going to be 2 Impact Wrestling or TNA wrestling legends of the past. Maybe a Fallen Angel will be joining Kazarian in the fight. And I'm all up for that. That would be awesome. Macklin and Moose in the main event defeated PCO and Morrissey. Well, it was an okay tag match. Hard hitting, some big 4 guys. I'd say the one that shone for me the most was Steve Macklin. Very impressive, even though PCO, man, at his age, still doing his thing. The Quebecer himself out there killing it with Moose and Morrissey. And you can't teach that. He was 7 foot tall. Decent tag match. Not really what I'd expect from a good main event, but it was okay. What was more exciting, was what happened after that match, was the return of the Death Machine, Sami Callihan. Big fan of Sami's, always have been, always enjoyed his stuff. Nice to see he's still kicking around in Impact Wrestling. He was gone for a while, supposedly, so he's back now, and he's targeting Moose. That should be an interesting contest, I must say. The size of Sami Callihan against the size of a guy like Moose. Should be very interesting to see what they do with that. But I must say, from start to finish, I did enjoy this episode of Impact Wrestling. Can't deny it. It was a good watch. 2 hours, easy watch, basically. One of those shows I haven't watched in a long time, and I will say I did enjoy it. Let me know what you think of Impact Wrestling down below. If you've been watching it. If you haven't, why not? Let me know why you stopped watching. Let's get back on it. Support wrestling, support these companies that are trying, and actually doing some really good stuff. I was very impressed with Impact Wrestling. Anyway, thank you very much for watching Wrestling Bants. If you have watched this whole video, smash the like button, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. Thank you very much, and I will see you next time for another review. Stay safe.